Hi everyone. Good evening. My name is Suresh Govindachetty. I lead the sales engineering efforts for Sumo Logic in the India region. Along with me, I have Ryan Johnson, who is the head of sales engineering for the APAC region, and we have Justin Matthews and Paul Rajesh, who lead the sales for the India region. So they are here to help us with any questions that you have with respect to Sumo Logic as a platform. Um, there is a Q&A section in the Zoom. So you can go to the Q&A section and then you can type in any questions that you have with respect to the Sumo Logic platform, the usage of the platform, any use cases that you have, etc. And feel free to type in your questions there. And at the end of the webinar, we will come back and then we will answer all the questions. And while the webinar is in progress, Ryan, Justin, and then Paul will answer your questions. So before we get started with the webinar, let us have a quick short introduction about Sumo Logic as a platform. So what is Sumo Logic? So we are a leading next generation machine data analytics platform. So we are around 10 years into the market. So what we do is that we ingest data in the form of logs, metrics, events, traces, and security incidences, etc. And what we provide you is intuitive dashboards, queries. We provide you very focused and meaningful alerts. We help you to visualize trends inside your data. We create focused alerts for you. We help you to investigate security incidences. And then we provide you a platform which is highly scalable. So we have 2000 plus customers across the globe who use Sumo Logic as a platform. So we are a highly scalable platform. 30 million plus searches are performed daily in Sumo Logic as a platform. 100 petabytes plus of data is analyzed using Sumo Logic. 500 plus trillion records are queried every day using Sumo Logic as a platform. So why Sumo Logic? How it benefits you? We are a true multi-tenant SaaS platform. So being a SaaS platform, you can just consume Sumo Logic as a service. There is no need for you to go install hardware, update it, patch it, etc. You can just consume it as a service. So you can focus on delivering better applications, better end user experience, focus on your business rather than building up a search and a SIM platform. We have multiple use cases. You can look at all the three DevSec as well as the operational use cases. And we provide fast value to you in adopting the Sumo Logic as a platform and then start delivering excellent customer experience for your users. While we do all this, we are a highly secure platform and we are a global service. So let us look at the current challenges that we face in the modern app ecosystem. So we need a platform where all the three, the DevSec as well as ops, can merge together. So we have the DevOps teams now who are also need to look into security as an aspect. So we provide you a platform where we can address all the three DevSecOps use cases. So there are the infrastructure today is not confined to the traditional perimeter firewall anymore. So we see data moving on to the global networks beyond our perimeter. We have data in cloud environments. So we have data in multi-cloud deployments. We also see data moving into SaaS platforms as well. So you need a platform that can provide you a complete visibility, which can provide you a full stack sort of a visibility. Monolithic stacks are gone now. We have microservices, which means there is more operational complexity. There are a lot of smaller ephemeral components, which basically scale up and then scale down. So you need visibility into this microservices based infrastructure. And we also have the data centers where we are looking at cloud environments where there's the applications are spread across multiple cloud environments so that you provide very high levels of availability for your application. So end of the day, all this means increased complexity, and you need a modern app stack tool that can provide you a complete visibility into your infrastructure, irrespective of where your data resides. Why our traditional tools fail, why they don't able to support this modern infrastructure stack? That is because these are limited to the older infrastructures. These cannot scale because the data ingestion can widely vary depending upon the loads. So the on-prem deployments that you have, they cannot scale and then they cannot grow to meet your modern app infrastructure. Fixed licensing means that you need to do some sort of a sizing, and then you also need to ensure that the data that you ingest fixes within this particular licensing model, which is definitely not going to work for a modern app stack where we have varying loads depending upon the customer usage, etc. There are data silos, which basically stops you from collaborating efficiently within your various teams. The security team has a different view, the operations team has a different view, the DevOps team has a different view. So you need a unified platform where everyone gets a singular view, wherein you can increase collaboration within your teams, and then you can respond to the market in a very agile way. Analytics, it is not for the privileged few. We are here to democratize the machine data, wherein you can get access to a platform where you can do all of your analytics, you can visualize your trends, you can see what is happening for your infrastructure in near real time. And security is built in with the platform that we provide. So we provide you a highly secure and a scalable platform, so you can confidently put your data within Sumo Logic as a platform. So how does this entire ecosystem work? So we collect data in the form of logs, metrics, events, and traces. And the data can come from various diverse set of sources. So we collect data from servers, applications, various different services, microservices based infrastructure, containers, IoT devices, etc. Basically, the machine data can be generated by any of the machines that we use, and we ingest data in the form of logs, metrics, events, and traces. And once we collect all this data, we provide you insights in the form of monitoring, visualizations, troubleshooting, alerting. You can do all your searches, you can investigate, you can predict, you can optimize, and you can address all your use cases of your operational use cases, where you're looking at how we can provide best experience for your users, how you can do quicker troubleshooting, etc. And we provide security intelligence in the form of various different security integrations, wherein you can bring all your security data in one place, and the Sumo Logic SAM platform can provide you visibility from your security posture, as well as where your organization stands at any given point in time with respect to security. We provide business intelligence, where you can look at trend analysis, you can look at adoption of your platform, etc. And then we also help you to do a comparison of your environment versus a global cohort of companies, where you can look at your data compared to the global peers, and then see whether the threats you face is unique or is it pretty common across the events, etc. Having said that, security is an integral part of Sumo Logic. The security is baked into our DNA. So we provide a platform which is having multiple certifications. This is one of the highest certifications, certified platforms in the industry today. So the Sumo Logic platform is PCI DSS certified, SOC 2 Type 2, HIPAA, GDPR, ISO 27001, CSA star, the AES 256-bit encryptions, etc. So when you put in data, you can be confident that you have sending data into a highly secure platform. So having seen all of this, let's get on to a DevSecOps demo now. While we are walking through the demo, please feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A section, and we have the list of experts here who can answer those questions for you. So to get on with the demo, we have a Travel Logic as a portal. So this is a portal which is used by customers. They come in and then they look at flight, hotels, cars. This is very similar to any other travel portal like GoIbibo, Make My Trip, etc. But what is important about this portal is that this is a customer-facing, revenue-generating critical portal. And the team who is managing this particular portal, the DevSecOps team, they would like to maintain high levels of availability. They would like to monitor the security of the application, and in case something goes bad, they would like to quickly fix this. Given this particular background, I would like to show you a couple of dashboards that we have built for monitoring and managing this type of an application. So what we are seeing here is an overview dashboard. So this is a Travel Logic dashboard, which looks all the aspects of DevSec as well as the operation side of it. So here you can see we are looking at an application overview where we are monitoring various aspects of delivering the application. We are looking at build durations over here, the recent builds, log levels over time, and we can also see metrics coming in play over here, which shows the health of the deployments, etc. Below this, we have the web operations where we are looking at data from multiple different layers and tiers. We are looking at the VPC bytes being sent. We're looking at ELB requests by the different locations. So this is a GeoView, which shows where your customers are coming in and then accessing your data. You can also see the engineering status codes being monitored over here, and it shows the various status codes over a period of time, which helps you to visualize your responses which are going to customers when they try to access your portal. Here we have a threat intelligence, which is a security integration. We are looking at the overall threat environment. So this shows the threats which are there, overall threats which have been detected, and then the threat types which are seen over a period of time, and then the threat by various malicious confidence, etc. And you can see some interesting details over here. So what we see here is an anomaly detection for the VPC bytes being sent. So whenever you set static thresholds, these can easily lead to a lot of false positives, because the load for our systems vary depending upon the various different patterns, like the time at which people access our portal, things like seasonal variations, etc. Whereas with Sumo Logic, we provide you a dynamic mechanism by which we can help you to detect abnormal variations or anomalies. So what we have seen here in this particular panel is an anomaly detection, where we are looking at the VPC data flows. So here you can see that there is a small pink triangle, which is nothing but an outlier based detection. So the center line that we see here is the amount of bytes, and we can see the bytes keeps varying depending upon the load. We can see that there are fluctuations, etc. So here we are looking at the amount of data actually being sent out, and then we can see that this is actually breaching one of the thresholds. So the anomaly detector from Sumo Logic, the way it works is it looks at your previous trend. In this particular case, we can see the previous trend over here. And whenever we see that there are variations with respect to the trend, whenever there are huge variations, like there is a sudden increase, there is a sudden decrease, etc., then we can basically alert you. So this becomes a dynamic threshold based alert rather than being static thresholds. And here you can see that there is a drop here, but we are not worried about the drop. We are only interested in the sudden data increases. So you can see that the anomaly detection has been customized for only increases in data. So these can be completely customized for your environment. So the center line, you can track any data that you want. This can be a metric, this can be a custom metric, or this can be any parameter that you would like to track. And then we can use the anomaly detection to alert you whenever we see that there are any abnormalities which are faced in, and you can completely customize this to suit your environment. Next, we can see the GeoViews in action here. So we are looking at, in this particular panel, we are looking at the requests which are coming into this particular portal. So this shows the location from where we are getting various different client requests from. So this is a GeoView. This is a correlation query where we are basically looking into the base logs. We go to the logs and pick up the IP address of the customer, and we do an external table lookup, and we pick up the latitude, longitude, etc., and we plot it in this nice GeoView. So there are nice, interesting use cases here. So say, for example, plotting this in a GeoView actually helps you to visualize the data easier. We can also show you an Excel sheet or a table which shows the client IP address, which particular country the request came from, which particular city, etc. But whereas showing it in a GeoView is very intuitive, where you can easily visualize this data. There are other interesting use cases here using GeoViews. Say, for example, if you have all your administrators based out of only India, then we can create a panel, a GeoView panel for you, where we can show the admin logins, and you can visualize from which particular regions the admins have logged in. And if there are any admin logins outside the admin locations, we can create an alert for you as well. So that way you can monitor and you can create alerts whenever you see there are logins which are happening outside the India region, etc. So these are a couple of use cases using GeoView. And you can see that I have a unified dashboard here, where I can look at both my security operations use cases, my dev environments where I'm looking at the builds, etc. And here I see my log levels are tracked over a period of time. And I see that there is a sudden increase with respect to my log levels over here. And I also see the metrics being tracked over here. And at approximately the same time, I also see that there is a jump with respect to my Docker CPU by the node. So to get more information about this, I'm going to open up my metrics panel. So with Sumo Logic, we can bring in logs, you can bring in the metrics. We also ingest traces as well as security incidences. And here we are looking at one of the metrics panel over here. And here I can clearly see that somewhere around this 4 p.m. time frame, I can see a huge jump with respect to my utilization. So, but this only tells me there is an increase. The metrics tells me there is an increase, there is a decrease, etc. But the metrics does not tell me why there is an increase. So to get to the why portion of it, I'm actually going to look into my logs. So I'm actually putting in certain keywords to get into the logs. I'm looking at a debug logs over here, and then the results are plotted in a heat map. So the heat map shows that when there was a sudden increase with respect to my resource utilization, I can see also the debug logs also increasing in the numbers. So to get to the Y side of it, I'm going to open up my logs around this CPU spike. Now I'm opening up the logs around my CPU spike, and I'm actually going to look out for the messages plus or minus 5 minutes around my CPU spike. So by collecting the logs around a 5-minute window, I'm increasing my possibility of finding out why there is an increase with respect to the ingestion levels. And I don't want to look into only my app. I'm going to expand the scope a little bit. So I'm going to put a wildcard over here, which looks into my entire environment. So now my system is actually gathering the logs around a 5-minute time window when a utilization spike happened. Now, if I go through this 6,000 plus logs, this 240 or 250, nearly 250 pages of logs, then there is a high possibility that I can find out why my application is actually increasing a sudden increase in the ingest levels. But then there are a couple of challenges here where the number of log lines that we need to look in is very high. We have around 200 plus pages to look in. So this is a classic scenario where we are trying to find a needle in a haystack. So this is where we bring in two powerful log reduce and log compare as a functionalities. So let us see how this functionalities can help to quickly analyze the situation. So for launching log reduce, all I have to do is just a click of a button. So just by clicking this button, now I have launched the log reduce as a operator. So the log reduce is a patented technology from Sumo Logic, and what log reduce does is that it uses advanced pattern finding algorithms, it uses fuzzy logic, it uses machine learning aspects in it. And what log reduce has now done is that it has actually grouped all the 6,000 plus messages into related patterns called signatures. So here we can see that there are around 3,400 plus messages of this particular type. So there are certain stars here which are variables. So there are few variables here which are changing, but essentially all the 6,000 or 3,000 plus messages are of a similar type. Similarly, I can see that there are 150 plus messages of this particular type, etc. If I go ahead and then reverse this count, then I can see there is one message of this type, two messages of this type, etc. And a closer look at this shows me that there is here a user Ricky who seems to have pushed a new version of this code. And while pushing this version of the code, he has actually turned on the debug mode and he has forgot to maybe switch it off. So that is the reason why we are seeing that there are a lot of logs or the ingestion, which is actually increasing around this 4 p.m. time frame. So while I can quickly find out why the ingestion actually increased, now I can go ahead and then I can turn off the debug mode to bring back the ingestion levels back into normal. While I can do that, I can also go ahead and then compare my environment with working baseline. So we have a log comparison operator. So what log compare does is it helps you to compare two environments. So it is something very similar to a change management comparison principle where we say that things have all been good, but now something is not working. So what has changed in my environment? So you can use log compare functionality for that, where you can go and compare your current environment with a working baseline or any other timeline. So here we are looking at a comparison of last 24 hours. So now the system has done the analysis. So what the system has done is it has taken the current set of logs. It has also taken the logs 24 hours before, and then it compares these two environments and tells us what is the difference between these two environments. So here I can see some interesting findings. There is a 25% increase with respect to this type of messages. There is a 22% decrease in this type of messages, etc. If I go ahead and then reverse this count, then I can again see that there is something is gone. So this basically tells me that this type of error, this type of message was there before, but now it is not there. So this is very helpful in case you want to check whether a bug fix is working, whether those errors are disappearing for your users, etc. Similarly, if there are any new messages which are there, it will show up as new here. So we know that a new message means that this type of error was not there before, but then now we are seeing this new messages here, etc. So using log compare as a functionality, you can compare the current environment versus any other timeline. So these timelines can be any time. So you can compare, say, for example, last 24 hours before, You can compare for last 3 hours before, last 60 minutes before. You can do a comparison anytime, and you can compare all these different timelines because we store logs. We store the messages within Sumo Logic. You can decide how long you want to retain data within the Sumo Logic platform. So if you have compliance requirements, you want to retain data for a longer duration, then you can always retain data as per your requirement. So in Sumo Logic, we have various different partitions that can be defined where you can decide how long you want to retain certain data. So you can retain data for, say, for example, a very long duration of 5,000 days, or you want to retain it for 7 days, or you want to retain it for a year, 3 months. So you can decide how long you want to retain data within the platform. So retaining data within Sumo Logic platform does not increase the cost. So there is a good use case where you can retain data so that you can do all your comparative analysis, you can do all your trend analysis, etc. using Sumo Logic as a platform. So using log reduce, log compare, you as a DevOps team, you can quickly look at resolving issues, you can look at quickly identifying issues, and you can potentially look at reducing your mean time for identification and resolution of issues by up to 90-95%. So having seen this, we also looked at the log messages over here. And while we are going to the logs, I also observed that there are a couple of log entries where I see there is an attempt to access the admin test access page. So this is used by the team for testing the application, etc. But looks like during the deployment of the code, this was the entry door was not removed, and then looks like it has been published as an application. Now we also see that there are a lot of access attempts which have happened for this particular URL. So to check whether this particular access has been successful, I can check this with a couple of queries here. So what I have here is a search template. So using this, I can actually quickly check whether there was any successful attempt to my exposed URL. So we use this for the customer service teams, but here we can use it to find out if the access has been successful for this published URL. So I can go here and I can basically look at whether the access to the portal was actually successful. So I'm going to copy this URI and I can simply paste it here. Now this shows me the URI, and then it shows me the client IP addresses which have accessed it, what time, date that they accessed this particular URI, who was the user who accessed it, what is the status code, the country name, region, etc. And I can see the status code which is showing up as 401 here. And if I analyze this, I can see there are a lot of pages over here, 112 pages. So I would like to know if someone was able to successfully access my URI here. And if someone was able to access it, then I need to inform my security team so that they can take a suitable action. So to find out if some access attempt was successful, I'm going to go to the status code and I'm going to do 200, status code 200. I'm asking the system to find out if there is a status code 200, which basically means that someone is able to access. But fortunately, I see that the 200 status code is not seen in the messages at all, which means there were access attempts, but no one was able to actually get into my system at all. So this is actually a good sign. But if in case someone was able to access it, then I would see a status code 200 and I will get details about it. So having seen this, let us get back to the query which is actually powering all of the search. So I'm actually looking at the query here. What we created is a search template which makes access or using this particular query easier for various different teams. So they don't need to know how to put data inside this query. They can just come here and then they can type in the details and then they can get the search results. So here I'm going to look in by the country. I want to see who has accessed my URLs. So I'm just running my search over here. And I can see the access to this particular URI has actually happened from various different countries. I see Spain, Ukraine, United States, etc. But then the majority of the access attempts seems to have happened from the Russian region, where I see nearly 1,500 plus access attempts have happened from the country Russia. And then this is the region from where this particular access attempt has happened. So this basically tells me how I can look at securing my application using Sumo Logic as a platform. So team, while we looked at the DevSecOps use cases over here for this particular application, Travel Logic, we have a huge collection of applications which we can quickly deploy. So in the Sumo Logic platform, you can see there is an app catalog, and then we have around 150 plus applications here. So these applications are developed by Sumo Logic, supported by Sumo Logic, and these are completely free. So the application is something like a template, which has a predefined collection of dashboards, queries, alerts, etc. And you can, once you deploy this application, you can see these dashboards, queries, etc. populating with your data on it. So what I can do here is I can look at one of the examples here, Active Directory. So I can click preview dashboards. This shows me what are the dashboards that are pre-built and available for me as part of this particular application. So I can quickly preview this here. And to know how to build this particular application in Sumo Logic, all you have to do is just say click learn more. So when you say learn more, we launch a context specific menu, which takes you to the details about this particular application. There are typically two steps for getting the application installed in Sumo Logic and then start visualizing data. So the two steps are, step one, we want to collect the data for this application to work. So step one is to collect the data. Step two is how to install the particular app and then view the dashboards. So I'm going to click the collect log files. So we have very detailed documentation which shows how you can set up data collection for most of the applications that we have listed here. With Sumo Logic, you can collect data from anywhere. So we have predominantly two methods by which we can collect data. So we have installed collectors and then the hosted collectors. The installed collector, as the name says, is a small Sumo Logic agent, which can be installed on Windows, Unix, Linux, EC2 sort of instances. And what the installed collector does is it collects logs, it collects metrics, etc. These logs can be your audit logs, these can be application logs, custom logs, etc. And once the agent collects the logs, it does a very high level of compression of this data. Then we encrypt the data with HTTPS TLS 1.2 and send it to Sumo Logic platform. So your data, while it is on transit, is completely encrypted and secure. And once the data reaches Sumo Logic, we again encrypt it with the AES-256 encryption, and we keep rotating the keys. So your data in REST is also completely encrypted, and it is always secure within Sumo Logic as a platform. We use hosted collectors for collecting data from cloud environments. We have various mechanisms by which we can collect data from all the three major public clouds, AWS, Azure, and then GCP. And we have mechanisms by which we can collect data for CDNs, various security integrations. We have 50 plus different security integrations using which you can quickly integrate your current security tools with Sumo Logic. We support single sign-on platforms like OneLogin, Duo, etc. And we support SaaS platforms, Office 365, Salesforce, G Suite. And more importantly, we support the microservices-based infrastructures. So we can collect data from your containers, your management engine for containers, which is Kubernetes. We have a complete solution which is built for the Kubernetes solution. So once we bring in all these logs, you can come back to the app catalog, and you can go to this app catalog over here, and you can install any of those apps on top of your data. So once we collect this data, you can go into manage data, collection. This shows the various different collectors that have been set up with various different sources which are ingesting data into Sumo Logic. In this example, we are looking at an AWS collector here, and we have a source which is ingesting CloudTrail data into Sumo Logic. So this shows the various different collectors and then the sources. And once we have data inside the platform, the visualization becomes easier with the app catalog. So you can come to app catalog, and then you can deploy all of the apps on top of your data. So we can look at, say, for example, AWS CloudTrail. So once I bring in the CloudTrail data, all I have to do is that just say add to library, and I can click where my CloudTrail logs are, and then say add to library, and then this application will be added to your personal folder, and all those dashboards will come live with your data inside it. So let us quickly look at one or two apps over here, which can show you the type of dashboards that you get. So this is a CloudTrail overview where we are looking at the geolocation of all the users. It shows you the failed logins, created and deleted network resources over time, etc. And the network and security dashboards, which shows you data from the security and network perspective. So this shows the authorization failure from various different locations. And we also have an interesting panel here, which is a network ACL with all allowed ingress access. Generally, we create ACLs which basically restricts the access to certain ports through which we publish applications, we provide access, etc. In this particular case, we are looking at all the ports we are open. So the panel can detect any such conditions and we can set up alerts whenever we see all ports are open, etc. So like this, you can quickly install apps and you can realize value out of Sumo Logic. So here you can see there are 150 different applications which are spread across various different categories. So we have an AWS category here where we can look at both security as well as the operational use cases. So we have CloudTrail, AWS Config, AWS Security Hub, AWS SWAP, Inspector, Guard Duty. You can see the VPC flow logs, etc. from the security side of it. We have an app for the ELB Classic as well as application load balancer, the CloudFront, which is a CDN, ECS, Elasticache, and in case of a managed Kubernetes environment, you can see the Amazon EKS control plane over here, S3 audit. So we have an app for all the different services within AWS. We also have a CAS Foundations benchmark using which you can compare your environment with the benchmark, and then we can see in case of any deviations, we can create alerts for you. We can also do a comparison of your environment with the global standards. This is where the global intelligence apps come in play, where you can compare your environment with the global cohort of customers like you, and then you can visualize your data, whether the threats you face or the scenarios that you face, whether these are unique to you or these unique alerts, etc. So you can compare yourself and benchmark against the global standards. From the compliance and security side of it, we have 50 plus integrations. So you can bring in all your current security integrations into Sumo Logic, and we as an SIEM platform, we can collate all the data together and we can help you to correlate data between multiple sources. So you can visualize your security posture at any given point in time. Most of the common databases are covered over here. We have MongoDB, Oracle, MySQL, the Azure databases, Amazon, etc. On the DevOps side of it, we have Bitbucket, Jenkins, which helps you to track your releases. We have Artifactory as an application over here, GitHub, Jira, Spinnaker, etc. You can see there's an Ops Genie, and we have mechanisms by which we can collect data from microservices-based infrastructures, the Docker. We can see there is an app for Kubernetes, and then the Kubernetes control plane. We support multi-cloud deployments. You can see similar apps for the Google cloud platform, similar to AWS, IT infrastructure-based applications over here. And we have Kubernetes apps, which supports your microservices-based infrastructures, Microsoft Azure, and then the common web servers like the Apache, Nginx, Tomcat, etc. So by leveraging the app catalog, you can quickly realize value out of Sumo Logic. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you as part of the live demo today. Having said that, we saw how you can bring in data from diverse set of sources into Sumo Logic. So your environment can be on-prem, it can be hybrid, it can be a cloud environment, multi-cloud, SaaS platforms, and microservices based. So when you bring in so much data, you may be asking me a question like, Suresh, all this is good, but how do I cost effectively own this platform? So this is where we have come up with a unique model where we provide you flexible credit-based model where there is no wastage of any credits at all. It is very similar to the AWS credit-based model. So depending upon the importance of your data, we can segregate your data as continuous, frequent, infrequent, and with mission critical data, security data, you can put it in a continuous tier where you can visualize the data. We provide you dashboards, we provide you alerts, etc. And this gives you a predictable paid upfront model where you can predict the cost. And this is the top tier in Sumo Logic. And we also have frequent data where you are only looking at search only use cases. For example, tech support cases, you want to do the transactions, customer service, etc., where they just want to look at or search the data. So that is a place where we can mark this data as frequent. This supports only search, but this also bring down the cost significantly. We also provide you ad hoc search capabilities where you want to pay based on usage. If you use this data, if you launch any queries, you pay based on the pay per use. But if not, we will not charge you anything for this. This is an infrequent data tier where there is very less usage. On a ad hoc basis, you may be querying the data. So we provide you infrequent tier. So by providing various different tiers, you can cost effectively own the platform. Depending upon your use cases, you can store data under various different tiers. So you can get in touch with us in case you want to know more about how this model works. We will be happy to walk you through how you can cost effectively own Sumo Logic as a platform. Why Sumo Logic? We are the leading next generation machine data analytics platform. We can address all your 3 use cases: the dev use cases, operational use cases, security use cases, where you can look at cost effectively owning the Sumo Logic as a platform. We provide you lowest TCO in the industry today, fast time to value, and we are a complete SaaS-based platform where you can consume us as a service rather than looking at building a tech platform, a search platform, and then maintaining it, etc. We have 2,000 plus customers who stand testimony to the value that they have derived out of Sumo Logic as a platform. So how can you try Sumo Logic? You can go to sumologic.com and you can sign up for a free trial. You can go to the sumologic.com platform. There is a start a free trial. So you can click this. We provide you a 30-day free trial where you can bring in your data into the trial account, and then you can explore Sumo Logic as a platform. Feel free to reach back to us for any evaluations that you would like to have on Sumo Logic as a platform. We are happy to partner with you and work with you to realize the value out of Sumo Logic as a platform. So let's quickly jump onto the Q&A section here. Feel free to ask any questions that you have.
Ryan Johnson here. I saw there are 2 questions that have popped up in the Q&A. So the first question is SOAR a component? So Sumo Logic, we have the ability to interact with external platforms such as Demisto, Swimlane, even Phantom via our webhook connections. So you can use our alerting and monitoring capabilities to integrate with best-of-breed solutions such as those. The other question we have is, can we have security alert dashboards and alarm features available in Sumo Logic? Absolutely. Everything that Suresh has shown you today is available out of the box for immediate usage, no matter what your tech stack is. We also have some advanced security capabilities, but today was really focusing around that DevSecOps capability. And if you'd like some more information on that, I do encourage you to reach out to Suresh, Paul, Justin, who are our team based in India. Suresh, or would you like to add any more color there? Or
I think there is one more question, Ryan. So let me answer this.
Sure.
The question is, can we have security alert dashboard and alarm features available in Sumo Logic? Yes, Ryan has already answered that. We can create custom dashboards where we can help you to detect any specific conditions as well as create alerts for you. The next question is, can we use Sumo Logic as a service? Can we set up as AWS EC2 instance? I'm not very clear on this question, but if I understand this right, can I use Sumo Logic as a service? Yes, we are a complete SaaS platform and we are available as a service. So you can consume Sumo Logic as a service. There is no need to build a search infrastructure, buy hardware, etc. So you can consume us as a service, and you can bring in data from your AWS environment, including the EC2 instances. This can be logs, metrics, security incidences, traces, etc.
That's absolutely right. And one of the other key advantages of using the software, Sumo Logic as a software as a service, is that we have been independently assessed and audited as a part of our many security compliance attestations. So ISO 27001, SOC 2 Type 2, PCI DSS. These are all certifications that are, if you were to seek on your own or build your own environment, could be prohibitively expensive. But by using our software as a service and leveraging our security attestations and certifications, this is not something that our customers need to do. In fact, they don't need to worry about security, the scalability or reliability of the solution. It just works.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for jumping in and answering this question. So we have got one more question in the Q&A section here. The question is it available as an AWS AMI from AWS Marketplace to use Sumo Logic as a component in EC2? So if I understand this question correctly, yes, you can bake Sumo Logic collector as part of your Amazon, the AMI, the image. So whenever there is a scale up of your instances, Sumo Logic also gets started as an agent in your new EC2 instance. It automatically registers to Sumo Logic cloud service, and then it sends data to us. So yes, you don't have to manually install the Sumo Logic collection in all the EC2 components. You can bake the Sumo Logic collector as part of your image. So that way you can completely automate the setup. Yeah, so we got one more question from Ronit. Like ELK stack, does it have any separate component to be set up? So Ronit, this is a place where Sumo Logic as a service has huge advantage over the ELK based stack. So there is no need for you to set up anything. All that you need to do is just consume Sumo Logic as a service. We provide you a UI where you can log in and you can set up your account. Once your account is set up, there is a one-time activity of setting up data collection where all the data comes into Sumo, and you can consume Sumo as a service. So there is no need to install any hardware. There is no need to maintain any servers, no need of patching, etc. No need to spend your DevOps resources on managing a search infrastructure. You can just consume Sumo Logic as a service. If you need any more information on how we compare against ELK or any other platforms today, feel free to reach back to us and we are happy to engage with you. So I think there are no more open questions. So thank you everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. I wish you all a very good evening. Bye-bye.